Koenigsegg has spent years selling one idea, that they build the most advanced road cars on the planet. And for a long time, nobody really argued with that. The cars look extraordinary. The engineering feels otherworldly. And if you were lucky enough to own one, you were happy just to be part of that tiny, exclusive club. But over the past couple of years, that perfect image started to crack. Not quietly, loudly, publicly, and in ways that were almost impossible to ignore for a brand that had worked so hard to appear flawless. A $4 million car catches fire minutes into its first drive. A billionaire owner calls the CEO Thanos on Instagram.
I am not the only one that says this. There are tons of Regera owners and Agera owners, people that you know and you recognize the name of, that just hate the quality of this car.
The CEO fires back, also on Instagram. And owners who had stayed silent for years suddenly start talking.
Speaks about his Regera that he bought used from a second-hand car dealer. It wasn't serviced for 3 years. It had a lot of updates it needed that it didn't have, that it should have had.
Once they did, a pattern began to emerge. And the more it came out, the clearer it became that this wasn't just a bad year for Koenigsegg. This had been building for a long time. The only reason nobody knew about it was that the brand had been extraordinarily effective at keeping things quiet. The moment that brought everything into the open happened on June 15, 2024, in Athens, Greece. A supercar rally called the 606 Motor Europe Tour had assembled around 70 cars, set to travel from Athens through Albania, Croatia, and Italy before finishing in Monaco. Among them was a Koenigsegg Jesko Attack Inner Edition, finished in exposed carbon fiber with 24-karat gold accents. A genuinely stunning car that its owner had reportedly paid around $4 million for, with the bare carbon option alone adding close to $500,000 to the price. The car had been delivered just weeks earlier and had covered only 124 miles since leaving the factory. 5 minutes after leaving the hotel where the rally started, while simply cruising through the suburbs of Athens at low speed, it caught fire, not a small fire. By the time crews arrived, the car was completely destroyed, a pile of melted metal and shattered carbon fiber on the side of the road. The driver and passenger got out safely, but the car itself was gone. And if that wasn't enough, someone was already selling pieces of raw carbon on Facebook Marketplace within hours, claiming they were authentic fragments from the wreck. The footage spread immediately. To Koenigsegg's credit, they responded quickly. Christian von Koenigsegg personally sent an engineer to Athens to recover the wreckage. The car was shipped back to the factory, and every Jesko owner in the world at the time, all 28 of them, received an email asking them not to drive their cars until the cause had been identified. That email was later obtained and made public by the Egg Registry. About 2 weeks later, Koenigsegg shared the results of their investigation. They ruled out the fuel tank, engine oil, and gearbox oil as the source. What they found instead was a streak of hydraulic fluid on the road behind where the car had been driving. A pressurized hydraulic hose had failed, fluid had contacted hot engine components, and it ignited almost instantly. Koenigsegg said it would inspect every delivered Jesko, correct any improperly installed lines, and develop new software capable of detecting a pressure drop in under a second and automatically shutting the system down. The owner was also promised a replacement vehicle. That is a thorough response, and it deserves to be acknowledged. But the question nobody could really get past was pretty simple. If this was a manufacturing defect in how the hydraulic lines were installed, how did it make it through quality control on a $4 million car? That story might have faded if not for what happened a few months later. In September 2024, at the Supercar Owner Circle event, a Jesko Absolute, the top-speed-focused variant, was filmed during a high-speed run with smoke and then flames shooting from the exhaust. The video spread fast. Koenigsegg moved quickly to address it, explaining that this wasn't the same situation as Athens. According to the company, the car hadn't caught fire in the traditional sense. It was an engine-related issue that caused smoke and exhaust flames with no structural damage to the vehicle. But here's the problem. When one Jesko has already burned to the ground, and then another one is producing flames on video just months later, the technical distinction doesn't mean much to most people watching. From the outside, it looks like two Jeskos, two fire-related incidents, the same year. The speed at which Koenigsegg moved to clarify the second event suggests they understood exactly how bad those optics were. What made it even more uncomfortable was how they framed it. Koenigsegg noted that the software patch developed after the Athens fire likely prevented the September car from suffering a much worse outcome. That sounds reassuring, until you realize what it also confirms: that these cars operate in a space where catastrophic failure is a real enough possibility that Koenigsegg felt the need to build a dedicated detection system just to stop something like that from happening again. If the Athens fire put Koenigsegg's reliability issues on the map, the Steve Hamilton situation made it personal. Hamilton isn't some random angry customer. He's a self-made billionaire from Wisconsin, founder of the Hamilton Collection, and one of the most prominent hypercar collectors in the United States. His YouTube and Instagram presence reaches a massive audience, built around a private collection that includes Bugattis, Paganis, Lamborghinis, and multiple Koenigsegg's, including orders for a Regera, a Jesko, and a Gemera. He's exactly the kind of client Koenigsegg wants happy. Hamilton had purchased a 2019 Regera secondhand through a third-party dealer. The Regera is one of Koenigsegg's most ambitious cars, a hybrid hypercar with a twin-turbo V8, 3 electric motors, around 1,500 horsepower, and no traditional gearbox. Instead of gear changes, it uses Koenigsegg's direct drive system, with electric motors bridging the gap between engine output and wheel speed. On paper, it's remarkable. According to Hamilton, owning one was a nightmare. He said the car spent most of its time in service, constantly cycling between shops, rarely drivable for any meaningful stretch. By November 2025, he'd had enough. He posted an image on Instagram showing Christian von Koenigsegg edited as Thanos from Marvel, with the caption, "I will no longer be silenced by Thanos von Koenigsegg. Deliver me my car." The post wasn't just about the Regera. He said his Jesko had been delayed over 2 years, and that his Gemera deposit had been sitting unresolved for nearly 5 years despite configuring the car personally at the factory. And the line that really cut through was this: the number of Koenigsegg owners privately messaging him with their own horror stories, he said, would blow your mind. Christian von Koenigsegg responded publicly. He posted a video showing Hamilton's Jesko sitting on the factory floor, fully built and awaiting final checks. He explained that Hamilton's second payment hadn't arrived until early 2025, and the final build specification wasn't locked until May, meaning the car was actually on schedule to ship by end of November, exactly as communicated to Hamilton's dealer.
This guy, he put in his second payment for the car in the beginning of the year, and he's finally spec'd the car in May. When he had finalized his spec, we told his dealer that the car will ship end of November.
On the Regera, Christian pointed out that Hamilton had bought the car secondhand with no documented service history for the previous 3 years, meaning missed software updates and maintenance the car should have received. Even so, Koenigsegg had sent technicians to inspect and update it at no charge as a goodwill gesture, because Hamilton had a Jesko on order.
He speaks about his Regera that he bought used from a second-hand car dealer. It wasn't serviced for 3 years. It had a lot of updates it needed that it didn't have, that it should have had. We even flew out and helped with that because we wanted it to work and he had ordered a Jesko and so on. So we didn't even charge for it.
Hamilton followed up with his own video. He acknowledged that some of his timelines had been off and said he believed the people at Koenigsegg genuinely cared. But he stood by his experience with the Regera, calling it a quality failure, and maintained that other Agera and Regera owners, people well known in the community, had privately told him they were dealing with the same problems. Then things got worse. Hamilton's Jesko was delivered around Christmas. Within days, his Regera suffered a high-voltage powertrain failure just 4 miles into its first public outing, breaking down at a car meet, in front of fans who had come specifically to see it. The very next day, his brand-new Jesko, with fewer than 80 miles on the odometer, began leaking hydraulic fluid and triggered a brake system warning. A $3 million car, not even past its break-in period, showing the same category of problem that had burned another Jesko to the ground months earlier. At that point, it stopped looking like bad luck. The honest answer to what's going on here is that it's complicated. Koenigsegg builds roughly 40 to 50 cars per year at peak production. Ferrari, which most people already consider exclusive, builds around 14,000. The scale isn't even close. Koenigsegg is a small team creating technology that often hasn't existed before, putting it into production in tiny numbers, and refining it as they go. Christian von Koenigsegg has acknowledged that these cars can have issues, especially early in a production run, and that earlier cars get updated over time to reflect later improvements. These aren't excuses, but they are plausible explanations. The deeper issue is structural. Koenigsegg builds some of the most technically ambitious cars in the world, prices them as though perfection is guaranteed, and delivers them to customers who now document everything in real time. The old culture, wealthy collectors storing their cars quietly, handling problems behind closed doors, is fading. Today's buyers are content creators and social media personalities who drive their cars hard and share every experience with a global audience. The engineering coming out of Angelholm is genuinely extraordinary. Nobody is disputing that. But extraordinary engineering and flawless execution are two completely different things. And at $4 million a car, buyers have every right to expect both. What Koenigsegg needs isn't less ambition. It's the service infrastructure and quality controls that actually match the ambition they already have. If they can close that gap, they come out of this stronger. If they can't, those private messages Hamilton mentioned will eventually become the story everyone knows. And that is a very different position for a brand that has spent 30 years being very careful about its image.